Hello and welcome everybody to the 167 podcast. Today we're going to be speaking about a few ways that you can make 2021 your best year yet. Stick around. There's a saying in the Bible that everybody in your room, in a coffee shop, this message. Hello and welcome everybody to the 167 podcast. We are back after a short little break to get ready and tuck into what we know is going to be the best year.
Back at it.
Back at it.
Looking forward to it.
You've got your old host back here. It feels just right, actually. We've just started, but this feels right.
It does feel right. It feels like we're back with our community. We're back with our 167 family. And if you're here for the very first time, welcome. Great to have you. Great to can't see you, but you can see us.
You can,
or you can hear us on the audio podcast, wherever you like your podcasts from. But 167 there's 168 hours in the week, and we would hope that one of those hours is spent in church, but if not, that's cool. But we want to add value to the other 167 hours that we can't really speak into on a Sunday. We want to add value into the rest of your week and speak into different topics, right?
Different topics.
So, this one we want to launch off with some ways for people to have a better 2021.
Yeah.
But maybe out of the bat, what are you thinking 2021 is going to be like?
You know what I think?
Prophet.
Listen, I think right now, a lot of people are looking at 2021 and are not as positive going into a year like we usually are. There's usually so much optimism and people are so excited for New Year's, but I think based on the year that we've just had, there's probably less optimism and less positivity about what 2021 can be. And I don't think we agree with that. I think that 2021, we agree with the thinking, but we think that 2021 can be a really good year. And that's what we want to speak about today. Speak about a couple of things that we can actually put in play, things that we can put in our lives to help people really get the most out of 2021 as we possibly can. Because we understand the skepticism, we understand that people might be feeling a bit nervous about the year. I think we are as well, trying to plan how to do church, trying to plan how to reach people, and you don't even know when you can meet. But even in that, we've still got a God who's really good, God who's really in control. And in this podcast, we get to speak about some of the really cool things we get to do. So what I think, you asked the prophet a question, let the prophet answer. I think 2021 is going to be amazing.
Awesome. Okay, great. Is this kind of like the same prophecy, like 2020, the year of great vision?
I was front in line, bro. I was like, 2020 vision, everybody, best year ever. And then we took that down, and now nobody knows about it.
It's so funny. I was preaching at another church a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, who's looking forward to 2021? Everyone's like, I'm like, yeah, really? Coronavirus is going to be over at the 31st of January. And everyone's like, what? I think it was December. Everyone's like, cackling hard.
Well, I don't know about you, but it was New Year's that was really the weird one, because like normally New Year's is this big vibe and everybody's together and you got your friends and family, whatever. And this year my New Year's was spent with my wife and my dogs. It was great. It was cool, but just so different. And I think that was the reminder, like, hey, not everything is just going to change overnight because it's a new year. Because we rolled into the new year, we still got to put our masks on and sanitize and did all the things.
I think it was the big thing because of this, because in Cape Town where we're filming this from and where our church is that we went in South Africa, we went into a second wave.
Yeah, we did.
And I think that second wave came at that point of the year end. And I think my personal feeling about 2021 is maybe not, it's positive, but I think the year is going to be the same kind of year as 2020, except we will be in a better position. We will be in a stronger position. Yeah. And I think in that we will be in a more hopeful position for the year ahead. So I'm with you. I think it's going to be a phenomenal year, not because the circumstances of the year are going to change, but our perception and I think we've grown, we're more flexible.
Yeah.
And I think that will put us into a better place in the year ahead. So I think this is going to be a great conversation.
Well, a lot of the content we're going to be speaking about today is actually based on a message that you shared, kind of the first message of the year, almost setting the tone. And I thought it was so good and so practical, basically saying that, like, our circumstances might not exactly change overnight, but problems actually bring about the strength and the growth and the durability for us to actually just get stronger and handle the year better.
Absolutely.
Which is exactly what you're saying. And you shared shared such a cool story about the boll weevil. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, the boll weevil.
The boll weevil, yes, the boll. You shared such a cool story about how I'm gonna let you share it, but just the summary of it, just how something that came that looked like it was gonna devastate a town turned out to be such a blessing, and they were so stoked about this thing that was initially wrapped up as just a massive problem, an issue. Maybe you can share that just quickly.
Well, I mean, for our audience, they can easily Google it and get more details on it, but. Probably about 100 years ago, this boll weevil, it eats cotton, and
is this like a bug or
it's like a little bug,
insect?
Insect.
When I hear weevil, I think weasel. I think it's just like little
these little weasels that are running in there,
just causing trouble. Anyway, it's an insect.
So
got that.
You know the story. You know the 10 plagues in Egypt where the locusts came and they decimated the crops of the Egyptians. That's kind of what the boll weevil did to the cotton fields in Alabama, in the southern parts of the United States, where they were making all of their wealth of cotton fields. And this boll weevil comes over from Mexico, jumped the wall, and decimated the cotton fields. And the farmers, some went out of business, some decided to diversify their farming and started planting other crops, and some went into cattle farming and things like that. And it actually turned out that they made more people wealthy after the boll weevil than before the boll weevil. Jeez. But there was a massive threat on their economic conditions and on their stability. And the whole point, later on, they erected a statue for the boll weevil and saying that their problem brought about their greatest prosperity, and they were actually thankful to it. And I think that's where we're at with this pandemic and the coronavirus, is that it has decimated industries.
Big time.
In fact, I think it's a time for reshaping and for a time for diversification. If you're still trying to plant cotton fields when the boll weevil's there, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
And so people had to diversify. And for us, we have to learn new ways, be flexible, pivot. I know everyone's sick of that, but the point is, it's time for many industries to reshape. We ourselves in our personal lives have to reinvent ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think even the church right now has reinvented itself. Anyone who's holding on to the past is going to, we're not talking about holding on to the truth of the past, we're talking about holding on to old methods that were pre-pandemic. And so everyone's having to adjust and shimmy and figure new things out, but the ones that do it well will come out better. And I think that's why we've got to keep believing God, trusting God for better days, and being flexible, right? I think about, I don't mean to preach, but thinking about how the Israelites were walking through the desert. The Lord was leading them with a pillar of fire by night and clouds by day. Now, come on, if we can move when God moves, stop when God stops, we will adjust to this lifestyle, and we will see God's kingdom built, our lives flourish, and I think great meaning. And for me, I think that this whole pandemic has kind of allowed people to go two ways spiritually. Either to drift into a poorer relationship with the Lord, where they're not taking their spiritual life seriously because God's all about blessing them, or it's helping people to strengthen their faith. And I heard someone say, what's going to settle is faith. And I'm really trusting God that for our congregation, whoever's might be listening to this podcast today, is that let it strengthen our faith. Let it build our faith. Let's keep on trusting God, because He turns all things to the good of those who love Him and are called according to His purpose for them. And greater is He that lives in us than he that is in the world. He is faithful to finish what He started in us, Philippians 1:6. And so, I think if we can allow it to strengthen us rather than break us, I think it'll be a good time.
That story you shared is so radical in a way that I think they also made a statue of this insect, and that's how grateful they were to it. And I try to, when I heard you say that, and I've heard the story before, but when I heard you say it, the picture I got in my mind, I started to think about, will there ever be a time where I look back at COVID-19 and these years and actually think, well, God, that was so good. I'm so glad that happened. Yes, it brought about a lot of bad things. So we're not about saying that all of the heartache and pain.
It's been disaster.
It has been. So we're not
Massive.
trying to talk around that. But for the fact that, like you're saying, the people that pivot well and shift well and are able to diversify well can actually come out and be better. Because you say the farmers that diversified were well, they didn't just get their money back, they were more wealthy. They did better because
and
of
more
it.
people were, the greater wealth of the community got better.
Exactly. So for me, I'm like, that story, I'd love for that story to kind of be what I think about this year a lot when it comes to, oh, it's another COVID thing, oh, it's another restriction, oh, it's another limitation, we can't go to the beach, or we can't meet in person. Me and you both, we love being in church with people.
Yeah.
So it's tough to hear those types of announcements, but still at the end of the day, God is doing something. He's shifting something. So for us, it's about what kind of mindset can we carry into 2021, and those 8 points that you gave us, and that we're going to talk about a few of them. I thought these were great mindset kind of aligners.
Yeah.
That if we could just, if we can, it's not about getting everything right perfectly, but if there's one or two of those things that we can hold on to this year and really focus on, I think it's going to help us get into a mindset where we can still win in 2021.
Yeah.
Even though we're not all vaccinated,
Yeah.
or even though the whole situation hasn't changed, that we're back to the normal ways of doing things. And even on that, a lot of what was normal before COVID really wasn't working either. And
It's just what we knew.
but it's what we knew, so we're kind of yearning for that. But I think God is always trying to do something new.
Yeah.
So maybe we can speak about a few of those.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just to frame it nicely is that what John Maxwell was saying is that problems
That's a
give
great
meaning
one.
to life.
Yeah, very
You know,
good.
we often remember, when you go on a camping trip or whatever, what do you remember? You remember what went wrong.
Or you remember the hike
Yeah.
that was so tough. Or you
exactly.
remember the moment where everybody fell out the rowing boat or the canoe. Those are the things that bring memories.
Yeah, and so he goes on to say that it's not our problems that necessarily need to change, although we want our problems to change. It's our perspective to them that needs to change. And so these 8 things that we discussed or chatted about was really 8 areas of life that if we can grow in will help us to have a greater year than the year past. I think it's so easy for us to go into a season of going, you know what, I'm just going to take it as it comes. No, let's dream. Let's continue to believe God in areas. And like you were saying, you can't do all 8 areas. It's impractical.
Yeah.
But maybe 1 or 2 areas that you're weaker in. Come on, let's strengthen it. Let's grow in that. And so, of course, not just as a pastor, but as a follower of Christ, I want to walk. As the first one is to walk closer with the Lord.
Yeah, so good.
You would have had this as well. We have conversations with people, and you said, how's your quiet time going? How's your time with the Lord? Oh, you know what? It's okay, but it could be better. I'm like, it's always could be better.
Yeah.
And my frame for this year is, could this be the year that it's the best it's ever been?
Yeah.
So let's not say it could get better.
Yeah.
Let's have it the best one we've ever had.
Yeah.
And let that be the story we tell.
Yeah.
Because if anything can come out of this year, let it be us closer with the Lord. I love the whole thing of John 15. Let us abide in Him. Because that's where fruitfulness in life comes from.
Yeah.
Abiding in Him.
Yeah.
And so, are there any ways that you can think of that people can?
It's so funny, Sven. I felt like I managed to get a level of drawing closer to God last year because I made a decision at the beginning of 2020 that I wanted to do the Bible in a Year challenge. I say challenge; it's quite challenging. It's not a challenge, but it's something that you can do where you can set aside maybe 25 to 30 minutes of your day, and you can read passages from the Old Testament, from the prophets, and from the Gospels and the New Testament letters. And I was able to do it. I managed to finish. It was not perfect. There were days where I missed days. There were days where I had to catch up. But in the whole process, I had read books of the Bible I'd never read before, and I was able to engage with scripture that I've heard about but never actually had just a feeling for myself, a conviction for it for myself. And in that process, I really feel like I grew closer to God. I got revelation from God, and I felt like I started to understand Him better and His character better. Because we speak about it all the time in church. We're like, hey, what would Jesus do? Remember those bands? You always got the what would Jesus do? But until we actually read the Bible, the story of Jesus and the story of God, we don't really know what He would do. But when you read the Bible, you actually read about the way that Jesus spoke to people or the way that He handled situations. And then even in the Old Old Testament, some of the heroes of the faith that we look up to and preach about, we get examples of their life as well. And the really hectic thing about it is that a lot of the lives of these heroes of the faith were extremely challenging, were full of trial, were full of persecution, they were scattering. But in that, they had this faith that was so admirable. And for me, that was one of the big things that I took away from, because I would consider 2020 a challenging year for lots of people. But then I look at these guys that I'm reading about, a guy like Paul, whose whole life was committed to being close to God and being close to his people, but spending years of his life within prison cells, but not stopping the work he was doing, continually writing, continually praising. And for me, it was such an encouragement. So the point of drawing closer to God, it's so powerful because, like you said, it's a perspective changer, and you begin to understand a bit better about what God is doing in your life and in the world around us.
Absolutely.
And it's not always about convenient and about comfort, and sometimes a really tough time, even if it comes to losing a loved one, which is terrible, or losing a job, which is horrible, you can still see the light at the end of the tunnel when you're spending that time with God. But when you're not in that time with God, and listen, reading the Bible in a year, it's tough. It's a lot of reading, even just a bit more prayer and worship, and you can lower your scripture if that's how you want to do it. But even in that time, you're able to have perspective in times where things are extremely difficult. You're able to turn around and say, I still feel God is so good.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm carrying into this year now in 2021.
I think it's good. I would say that it's the one thing that has to happen every single year. That's got to be the biggest goal, the biggest dream. Because if I think about it, like, it's the one that has the biggest impact on your eternity.
Big time. That's the big wake-up call.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just going to take a quick moment to shout out my son, who is helping in our studio right now, who's having a look at the cameras and everything. Yeah, he's helping us out. But it's all cool. So and what would you say for, like, that people can, what is a practical step that people can take to maybe develop that as a meaningful, like, because I know people who's like, hey, the reading of the Bible's hard. And, what could they do today to take that step to develop that relationship?
Yeah, an extreme. I think what the trip up is for a lot of people is if I want to start reading my Bible, like you're saying, the Bible can be hard to read, hard to understand, especially if I don't know where to start, or especially if I'm jumping into a book. Because the Bible it's one big book, but it's made up of a lot of different books. So you can do the whole open up and then stop it somewhere and read something. You hope it's from God, but it's probably going to be very confusing. So that's not a method I would endorse. But what I love about the YouVersion Bible app is that they provide plans and they structure the Bible in a way where they tell you exactly what to read on what day in manageable readings, and often with a devotional that helps you understand what you're reading.
Yeah.
So if you've been reading your Bible for a long time, maybe the Bible in a year is a challenge that could be great for you. But if you're a new Christian or new to faith or just new to reading your Bible, the YouVersion app will have plans that are 5 days long, 7 days long, 8 days long, maybe taking you through the book of John, or maybe taking you through some scriptures.
I've got a devotional that's coming out soon.
Yeah.
So guys, come on, just watch the space. We will promote it on all platforms for a devotional through John. Just
that's
shameless
great.
plug.
No, Sven has put something together, which we will keep an eye on all the socials and 167. That's a brilliant thing to do and to try. And with that, there could be plans that speak about anxiety, speak about marriage.
Totally.
And these are just ways to take things that we want to speak about and bring scripture into it. The cool thing about YouVersion is that, yes, we get to have other people's insights and other people's inputs, but then you might find a time where you get to a place in your relationship with God where you can just open your Bible in the morning without having to read a devotional and really just have that personal time with God. But what's great to understand is that we're all on a journey.
Good.
No one expects anybody to just one day read 12 chapters of the Bible, know exactly what's happening. No. Maybe for you it's one verse today.
Yeah.
Maybe for you it's just a 30-second prayer, just acknowledging God, acknowledging the Holy Spirit.
Absolutely.
I think what we encourage is just take a step. Just try something. If maybe it's listening to a worship song. God celebrates every step that we take, whether we're on the first step of the journey or if we're 40 years in. Every step towards Him is a good step.
Yeah, and I think a good goal to follow is that try for daily, and if you miss a day, it's fine. Just don't miss two.
Don't miss two.
So what was one of the other things that stood out to you before
Yeah.
I jump in?
I thought a lot of the points were brilliant. There was one that really stood out to me, and I must remember the wording, but it was basically just about developing relationships and having somebody in your life that you really can trust. I think that for me, this was a great point to have, because I think a lot of us, especially with social media, and we can have a lot of friends and a lot of followers, but how many of those people would you trust? Maybe with a deeper secret, or maybe with a journey that you're trying to get through with your life. And if 2021 can be a year where we find one person, maybe two people, where we can just go deeper, people that we can speak to about our marriages, people that we can speak to about our lives, our struggles, our successes, someone who will cry with you, someone who will celebrate with you, and someone that you really can trust. Because I think what Satan will really try to do, and what was so horrible about quarantine, was the isolation side of it. I think as soon as you can get isolated with your thoughts and with your life and what you think is going wrong or possibly going right, I think that's when you get vulnerable. But as soon as we can surround ourselves with people that love us, that care about us, and that want the best for us, I believe we begin to see God's love and His grace. And that's why in the church, when people used to gather, it was in groups. It was in small groups. It was in homes, and we love gathering in church, which is amazing. But we know that a lot of people get serious breakthrough, not necessarily on a Sunday on a service, but actually in their life group. When they're with a leader who loves them, cares about them, they open up, and that way you can almost take those steps forward in your relationship and in your life. And I think 2021, I felt challenged by that, because I think I've got friends, but what really people in my life that I'm ready to open up my heart with, that I trust, that's not going to hurt me or burn me with it, but I really trust, and that will want to help me and have a hard conversation with me. I think I can get better at finding people like that, and I should. I really should.
Good. Yeah, I think I think it's like pursuing a meaningful relationship.
Yeah, those are
because
great.
it's, we also have our default friends, which is not bad. It's good. But I read many years ago, I read this thing of, you will be the person you are today except for the books you read and the people you meet.
Yeah.
And so I just think that if we want to become bigger people, pursue a relationship with someone who's bigger than you, or
further
along, or stronger in an area than you, or just like you're saying, someone who's you've got great chemistry with. And I think rather than doing life alone, even if it's just one person.
Yeah.
And for some people, it's scary, huh? For some people, it's scary to pursue a relationship because of the rejection factor that stands out there.
We don't know what people have gone through.
Exactly.
You could have had a really good friend in your life that has walked away from you or really hurt you. And then what happens? You grow fearful of looking for that relationship and pursuing that relationship.
Exactly.
But what a lot of great leaders, and on what you said, what a lot of great leaders and businessmen say is that what they strive for is being in a room where they are not the smartest person in the room, where they would be considered one of the smaller fish, because they know all they can do in that situation is learn and grow.
Absolutely.
So in a business context and then in a relational context, yes, it's slightly different. But I love what you're saying. If you're someone who wants to be a great wife one day and have a great marriage, I'm sure there are people in your life that have that. That are doing their best at being good wives and having good marriages, or maybe it's along a business point of view or even a spiritual point of view. It's like, that's where I want to be. So I'm going to spend time with you and see what you do. Type of thing. I love that.
That's good. Yeah. So we encourage you, find someone who you can be real with and go deep with.
Yeah.
Honestly, the one that for me at the beginning of this year has been one area that I want to grow in is to be more present with family.
Sure. That was challenging, bro.
Yeah, for me I don't know if it's a guy thing or if it's just a me thing.
It's a guy thing. If you're watching or listening today, tell us if that's a guy thing or not.
Yes, in the comment section somewhere, we would love to know. Any complaints can be sent to the 167 podcast at Gmail. Yeah, that's right. Because I can be in the room with my family but not be there.
Yeah, it's true.
And so I want to be there. So I find myself from the TV, or I find myself from thinking about work, or I find myself catching what I need to do next. Because that's how often...
How do you think we can get better at that? Because I have the exact same. I feel that I don't know, maybe you're busy, and it's not always bad, but you kind of disconnect, and you find ways to like numb your brain, or just to get that breathe or get that relaxing, and then you kind of live past your wife who might be in the room, or in your case you've got kids and stuff as well. For me, I'm like, how can I so I'm trying to do less screen time, especially on my cell phone. That takes a lot of time for me, and I'm not just talking about, I'm not trashing social media or anything, just not on my phone. And when I'm able to disconnect from my phone, I feel like I am better able to connect with my wife, finding like a TV show, because we're watching MasterChef at the moment, and it's actually been really cool to find a TV show that it's an hour long, and it's something we do together every night,
great.
and we connect over it. And I'm not necessarily I love food.
What everybody wants to know is what dishes are coming out of this show that you are cooking at home.
You can't put me on the spot. I'm growing. Let's just put it that way. I will put a dish out, and then I'll tag 167 and I'll tag MasterChef.
Okay, yeah, please. We need to see what the fruit of this is.
You're right. I can't watch a whole season of a cooking show.
No,
and then not cook a meal. What a waste of time.
Or at least order a meal and
there you go. And then
make
take
it
the wrapping
and
off.
Claim it, you know.
But even for that, just having that 1 hour of time where we're together. There's no. Yes, we're watching TV, but we're chatting and we're talking about it and we're enjoying each other's company.
Good, yeah.
And it's not a phone. That's helped me. But I'm sure there's many other ways we can get better at that.
Oh, with Lara and I did it a long time ago. We've done it probably most days for years and years. Is that as soon as we get home, actually since Samuel was born, we found that life got so busy, we started having coffee time together.
That's good.
So it's 10 minutes where Samuel can't interrupt us, and he tries, but where we just focus on having coffee together and having a conversation, catching up. But I think the idea is to know when you have to be present. So when you catch yourself drifting, you go, whoa, I'm doing something wrong. I need to switch. Because it takes energy. It takes like, it doesn't happen naturally.
Yeah.
So we drift, and I think what we want to avoid this year is drifting. We want to be intentional.
Yeah.
And so it takes energy, and I think to go, okay, I'm going to play with my kids today.
Yeah.
I'm going to get on the carpet with them. And I fail at this more often than I'd like to admit.
Yeah.
But I think it's just that, okay, I'm not present right now. Let me become present.
Being able to acknowledge, being self-aware.
Self-aware. I think just being aware of it is the first goal.
Yeah. It's something we can all think about and try to apply. And another thing that really took my attention was you spoke about us being physically healthier this year.
Yeah.
And I think we're all kind of thinking about health now, especially with COVID-19. We're trying to stay sanitized. We're trying to stay healthy. But I think that point is so powerful. And there was another line that you wrote there, is that if the engine breaks, the car can't move. And I'm paraphrasing. But I think that in essence is so true. If we aren't physically healthy, the Bible speaks about the temple that we're stewards of in this life. And if we can't keep ourselves physically healthy, we make a lot of the other tasks or a lot of the other things and callings that God has put in our lives a lot harder to achieve, because we're always trying to play catch up to, I don't have the energy for that, or I can't see myself working in that space. I can't see myself doing that because of health and physical limitations.
Absolutely.
So even this year, I'm a terrible water drinker. I don't know if it was because I went to high school in Paul and it was hot all the time, and we just grew and were training, and we didn't know. But this year, every day I'm trying to drink 2 liters of water.
That's good.
My wife got us a bottle, and we just fill the bottle. It's big, and we drink our 2 liters of water, and it's a small thing. We're trying to gym and trying to do the good things. I know you play football as well, but that was so challenging in the fact that I don't want to let something that I can control me at a later point, because I wasn't faithful with what God was giving me right now. I love that point. And even for people that are watching, it's to say, hey, this body. Yes, we know when we get to heaven, we're getting the heavenly body, we're going to be jacked, we're going to look really good, but what we do and how we steward our earthly body also represents what we can do here on earth. And we want to steward that the best we can and be faithful.
I think that's it. I think that, you can't avoid a diagnosis that you didn't plan for. Bad things do happen. But I think what we're saying is, as far as you can, don't be the reason your health goes down.
Yes.
So don't burn out.
Yeah.
Don't, find ways to look after yourself healthy. You can't go 24/7, 365.
Pilates, like yoga, if it's gym, if it's road running.
Totally. You can't be a better husband. You can't grow financially. You can't, if you're always fighting with your health.
100%.
So no, I love that. That's great.
And the things that you eat. We could go into this big time. I'm feeling challenged.
We could. But you know what? I think most people know
they do.
They need to get better in. It's just the discipline to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that, you can't do that for anyone. They have to take that on themselves.
Big time.
Shall we try one more?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, we've got live generously. We've got aim for financial peace rather than financial security.
Well, while we're looking for that, by the way, everybody that is joining us on the podcast today, video or listening, this message is actually on our YouTube page.
That's right.
If you don't belong to our, because we're having fun conversation, but the message is brilliant. And if you are looking to watch the sermon yourself, you can jump on our YouTube channel, View Church Sunningdale.
Yeah.
If you belong to our church, you'll know it. If not, please feel free to jump onto that. This message was the first message spoken this year, and it gives all 8 detailed very well, well spoken. So you can take that sermon. I've already heard feedback from people that they've taken notes and they're trying to apply some things in their lives. So please feel free to jump on that. Subscribe to the channel. All of our sermons that we preach weekly go up there as well.
Awesome. Yeah. We've got make a significant contribution to work. At work. Maybe we talk and close on invest in personal development.
Yeah, come on.
Because I think personal development is an area where we give too little time to.
Yeah.
And when we do decide to give time to it, that time gets eroded pretty quick by the urgencies of life.
Yeah.
And I love this quote reportedly by Abraham Lincoln that said, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I will spend the first 4 sharpening an axe. And even it comes to Ecclesiastes, where if the axe is dull and its edges unsharpened, more strength is needed, but skill will bring success.
Yeah.
I think in this year, we need to get better at what we're doing.
Yeah. So, like, even thinking about kind of the world that we live in now, very tech-driven. There's a lot of stuff happening. There's a lot of information available to people. And yes, in some ways there can be negative aspects, but I think with regards to personal growth, I think there is a lot of positive about the way that the world is going at the moment with regards to accessibility to great life-giving, purpose-giving, leadership-giving content that is so readily available to us. So we'll speak about reading books. We'll speak about listening to podcasts, being a part of conferences, but we've even seen just with Zoom over the last year that it is so easy to get on a video call with somebody. So personal growth, yes, you've got the leadership and you've got all those good things, but maybe personal growth for you is getting on a Zoom call with somebody who maybe doesn't live close by to you, but you want to learn something from and grow in an area from. And even podcasts. I mean, we endorse quite a few people that we really enjoy, but there's a leadership podcast that I sent to a couple of our team members this week. It's 20 minutes long. It just spoke briefly about focus, and the amount of material and content that the guys got out of it was unbelievable. They just said, this was so good. I really appreciate this. I've learned a lot. I've taken notes. And it was just 20 minutes of just someone speaking into a very specific area. And I think if you can take 20 minutes or 40 minutes or an hour of your week and just invest in yourself. It's like Abraham Lincoln saying, it's like, yes, we've all got trees to chop down. We've all got jobs. We've all got lives to do. But how often are we spending that time in sharpening the axe that is your life?
That's right. That's good.
Sharpening the axe that is your mind. Sharpening the axe that is your body, how you treat yourself. And all of those things that come with personal investment and reading the right books. You want to have a better marriage, there's great books for that.
Yeah.
You want to lead your business better, there's great books, there's great podcasts, there's so much available to you.
I would even go say, I think everyone has to have a balanced reading.
Yes.
So this year, if you're listening to this, pick one book.
Great.
Don't try to do 12 books, pick one book. But if you can do more, I would aim for read a book on leadership, and you can literally just go to a bookshop or go to and type section and find the title that you like the most. Seriously, something on leadership. I would do something on relationship, whether it's marriage, whether it's friendship, whether it's relational IQ. I would do maybe something on like personal development or. Do you know what's also great is actually reading autobiographies. Autobiographies even, Finding people that you love. So for me, I enjoy sports, so I love reading sports autobiographies, but I've read autobiographies of just people, random people that did significant things with their lives and just learning how somebody did things or treated certain situations. I mean, I'm constantly challenged on how early successful people wake up, and I'd love to be a successful person, so there must be something in that. Absolutely. Yeah. Do a course. Come on. This year, do a short course on Udemy or something.
Yeah.
I'm actually, right now, I'm finishing my theology degree,
Yeah.
but I'm also in the midst, don't tell my wife, sorry, babe, if she's listening to this later on. I'm actually in the middle of a YouTube course right now.
That's amazing.
Because
What's that?
YouTube, they've got this Creator Academy.
Okay.
Because I've got a YouTube channel, but also the church has got a YouTube channel.
Yes.
And so it teaches you how to maximize YouTube to
What?
get your message out there further.
That's it.
And it's a free course that YouTube run. So it's not like you have to spend money. You just have to be willing to open your eyes
Very good.
for areas of growth.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing. I'm doing a course. I've gone through. I'm halfway through one module.
Yes.
It's not long, but just learning little things. Why? Because I want to sharpen my. Because I don't want to take 10 years what I can achieve in 4 years.
Good. Yeah.
I know it's a long game, but I want to get there quicker, faster, and more effective.
And
Why?
do more,
Because
yeah.
because the message that we're trying to promote is the most important message in the world.
It is.
And so why it deserves my best. Come on, your marriage is the best thing in your
Wow.
life right now. Come on, you want to have the best marriage you possibly can.
Yeah.
How are you going to do that? Not by doing the same old thing every day,
Yeah.
but by finding ways that you can grow. Do a marriage course with the church this year,
Yeah.
something, you know.
Even we're even doing our Bible
Do evening college. Yeah, I love it.
Bible college is starting. You want to grow and understand the Bible better, join up at evening college. It's not just for theologians, it's for anybody.
Exactly
We
right.
can all grow, we can all learn. And that for me, I feel so positive about this because nothing about what we're talking about is this far reach away or this incredibly hard task to do. It's just about intentionality.
Yeah.
Is if are you going to be someone who can put 40 minutes aside a week to do some personal investment? Are you going to be someone who's able to put 10 or 15 minutes aside daily to spend time with God?
That's right. Yeah.
To maybe exercise 3 or 4 times a week, to drink some water,
Good.
to put a budget together. It's like there's so many. We can't do all of them at once.
You're
and be
right.
Brilliant at all of them, but we can pick a couple, and as a family, you can go for it. And I really feel like there can be tangible difference.
I think so. I think you're spot on. I think this year will be a better year if we can pick one or two of these things and go, I'm going to commit to that. I'm going to write it down.
Yeah.
I'm going to remind myself every week about it.
Yeah, it's good.
Write it on a journal, write it on a diary,
Writing it down
write it
is
in the
so
mirror.
important. People say,
Massive.
I heard a crazy statistic about the difference between someone who sets goals and then the person between someone who sets goals and writes them down. And the percentage of those who write them down, it's like 30 or 40% higher of them who actually reach their goals.
That's
Write down
very
important.
good. That's very good.
That's why
I
you're
love that.
journaling.
I know, that's what I'm doing. 5-year journal, here we go. And I forget, then I have to go back a few days and fill it
What
in.
was I thinking?
Yeah. You know what the reason why I'm writing in that journal is because it took me like 4 days to draw the journal up.
There you go.
So
You
I'm
can't
like,
waste
I've
it
paid
now.
the price. I better get
You
them.
put your borders in,
I've got to do
butterflies.
it.
and the
That's
cross-
right. Little hearts and kisses. But yeah, I think, the last one that maybe we close on
Yeah.
is just, and the reason why I want to bring it up is just because I think it's so important. Because in this time of isolation and we're getting comfortable almost with smaller lives.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we weren't busy. We were too busy, I think, before. And the pandemic has slowed us down appropriately. But I think the risk is that if you become small living, small-minded, your world continues to become smaller.
Yeah.
So live
That's
generously.
good. Yeah.
Be kind to people. Pursue relationships. Step out. Continue to think about how you can serve other people. Because if you get bigger on the inside and keep living generously, it makes your world bigger. That's what the
does.
Bible teaches.
Yeah.
And that is the way of the kingdom.
Yeah.
And so let's continue to live a meaningful, significant life outside of my immediate circle.
Yeah.
And I think,
We can be open and honest. I think there's so many opportunities in the world we're living in right now to be generous to people. Some people have struggled far more than others in the season that we're living in right now. So like you're saying, a small world is always focused on ourselves and the people that we're trying to protect. But if we're able to just look beyond our walls and see that God is providing many opportunities for us to be generous and to live big lives and we want to make an impact that far exceeds our immediate circumstances. We want to make an impact bigger than just my life or my job or my family. We want to leave legacy.
Yeah.
And I think legacy is left when people are generous.
Yeah,
Generous,
absolutely.
and not just with their finances, generous with their time, generous with their energy, and all spheres of generosity. That's where
Good.
you can leave a legacy. 2021 could be a year of legacy for people.
good, I love that. And you know what? It could just be, hey, I'm going to phone someone who I haven't spoken to lately,
Big
or someone who I know at my work is lonely. I'm going to just shoot them a text. You know, that's generous and it's practical. It's easy for anybody to do.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's it. We want to aim for these big things, but hey, let's do the small things well.
Yeah.
And consistently.
Yeah, and fight the because you actually can be living in that smaller world like you were talking about it, and it can become really comfortable.
Yeah.
And then we can stay there in the name of we're staying safe.
Yeah.
And we're staying healthy, and we're for that. We're for people being healthy and safe, but not to the expense of God's calling on your life, because we believe we're covered by God. We believe we're protected. We also believe in sanitizing and social distancing and mask wearing. We believe in all of it. But I think every decision we make, we've got to be like, is this decision made out of fear?
Yeah.
Or is it made out of wisdom?
Yeah.
And sometimes wisdom is going to call you to be generous.
That's right.
And to step out.
That's right. And I think you've ended that perfectly, because we're not playing a short-term game. We're not even playing a long game. We're playing an eternal game.
Yeah, big time.
And so it's like, what do we want the most? And I love the way that you ended that off. And I think that's everything for today. I think we've had a great start to 2021, 167 podcast.
We're back. We're ready to go.
Back live and in action.
We're revved up.
Come on, one episode every week.
Come on, we're so excited. And if you've joined us today and are listening and are watching, please don't forget to like. We've got an Instagram page. We've got a YouTube page for our videos. And then we have got where you can listen to podcasts. Our podcast is there as well. Rate, review us. And please leave in the comment section, what is one thing you're going to try and do this year?
Yeah, would love to.
What is your one thing? It might not even be something we've mentioned. I mean, we've kind of brushed over the surface, but maybe there's something that you're committing to yourself. If it's a spiritual goal, a physical goal, a business goal, we'd love to hear it. And we want to celebrate you and pray with you and trust God for 2021. We know it's going to be an amazing, amazing year. But that's all we got for today.
Awesome.
And we're going to be back next week.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Come on, somebody. Have a great one.
Cheers.